September 3rd, 1260. The valley of Ain Jalut in Galilee smells of crushed grass and horse sweat under a sun that turns armor into ovens. 15,000 Mamluk cavalry wait in concealment behind ridgelines while their commander, Baibars al-Bundukdari, counts his own heartbeats to measure time. He is 38 years old, blue-eyed, face scarred by a Mongol sword, throat bearing rope marks from attempted hanging after capture. Born a slave in Kipchak steppes, sold at 13 to Syrian merchants, trained to kill before he learned to read Arabic. Now he commands the vanguard of the last Muslim army standing between the Mongols and Mecca. Behind the hills, 20,000 Mongols under Kitbuka Noyan advance westward, unaware they are riding into a trap designed not with steel but with theater, a performance of weakness that will cost them everything. The Mongol invasion began 2 years earlier when Hulagu Khan destroyed Baghdad in February 1258, killing 800,000 in a week. The Abbasid Caliph al-Mustasim trampled by horses until bones broke through skin, executed without spilling royal blood as Mongol custom requires. Libraries burned for 6 days, the Tigris running black with ink from manuscripts by Al-Khwarizmi and Avicenna. Aleppo fell after 5-day siege, 40,000 massacred. Damascus surrendered when its governor fled. Gates open, markets still selling bread as Mongol cavalry rode through in silence, so complete witnesses report hearing individual hoofbeats on cobblestones. Mongol conquest recognizes no faith, respects only submission or extinction. Sultan Qutuz receives news of Damascus in Cairo, hands shaking, water spilling across silk maps. He is 41, a Khwarezmian prince who escaped Mongol destruction by fleeing west. Historians speculate that the trauma of his youth, watching Samarkand fall, witnessing pyramids of skulls 20 feet high, seeing children sold for less than sheep, haunted him with nightmares of Mongol horsemen chasing him through burning cities. He calls his council that night, arguing Egypt must fight. If we retreat, we give them Africa, we give them Mecca. The room erupts in debate. Senior emirs fear Mongol cavalry that has never lost a major engagement in 50 years. They counsel defensive positions along the Nile Delta, but geography offers unexpected opportunity. To reach Ain Jalut from Cairo, Mamluk forces must pass through territories controlled by the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem, based in Acre. Though longtime enemies of Islam, the Crusader Knights fear Mongol brutality more than Mamluk rivalry. According to contemporary chronicles, Crusader lords granted Mamluk armies safe passage and permitted purchase of supplies, calculating that a Mongol victory would leave no Christian survivors to negotiate with. This tacit cooperation proves decisive. Without Crusader acquiescence, Qutuz's army could never have reached northern Palestine intact. Baibars proposes the strategy at the council. Mongols have never lost a major battle, he begins, voice flat. They've conquered from China to Poland. They win because they never encounter anything unexpected. He pauses. We give them the expected. A small force that retreats. Let them chase. Make them think they're winning. His plan requires discipline. Most armies lack. Advance guard engages Mongols, retreats in apparent disorder. Mongols pursue, believing they're routing the Mamluks. The retreating cavalry leads them into Ain Jalut Valley, where the main army waits hidden. When Mongols commit, hidden forces attack from 3 sides. The trap requires retreat without breaking, fake panic while maintaining cohesion, run at exactly the right speed, fast enough to appear defeated, slow enough to keep Mongols chasing. Training begins 2 weeks before the battle in the desert. Baibars drills 3,000 cavalry in the choreography of false retreat. Turn horses in apparent confusion while maintaining formation. Drop weapons while keeping swords hidden. Scream in fear while tracking signals. Men who break formation are demoted. After 10 days, 3,000 men can transform from disciplined cavalry into panicked mob within seconds, then reform within 2 minutes. Chaos with the precision of prayer. Kitbuka Noyan crosses the Jordan River on August 25th with 20,000 cavalry, the army that conquered Syria. He is 63, a Nestorian Christian serving Mongol Khans for 40 years. He's mastered Mongol tactics, feigned retreat drawing enemies into ambush, arc formation enveloping flanks. These tactics have become instinct. This makes him dangerous. This also makes him predictable. When scouts report Mamluk cavalry ahead, small force, maybe 3,000, Kitbuka orders advance. Mamluks have avoided major battle for 2 years. Now suddenly they appear in open terrain, isolated. Kitbuka sees opportunity. He doesn't question why this presents itself now, why Mamluks would break their pattern. September 3rd, dawn. Baibars positions his 3,000 in open valley, cavalry in thin line that looks impressive, but lacks depth. Behind the hills, Qutuz holds the main army in positions marked with white-painted rocks, every unit commander knowing his exact station marked during the night. They wait in silence, weapons sheathed, horses muzzled to prevent neighing that might alert Mongol scouts. Sun rises, and temperature climbs past 30 degrees before battle begins. Men sweat inside armor, but remain motionless for 3 hours, discipline holding despite discomfort. Baibars watches Mongol cavalry approach from the east, their line extending 2 miles across the valley floor. Banners showing Hulagu Khan's insignia. He waits until they're within 1,000 yards, measuring distance by eye the way archers measure range. Mamluk horns blow 3 short blasts, the agreed signal for engage, then retreat. His cavalry advances at trot, bows drawn, releases first volley at 500 yards. Most arrows fall short intentionally. Purpose is provocation, not killing, making Mongols angry enough to pursue. Mongol front ranks respond with their own volley, and this one finds targets. 30 Mamluks fall in the first exchange, dying for the performance before battle properly begins, their blood purchasing credibility for the deception that will save Egypt. The army's close. For 15 minutes, they trade arrows at 200 yards, Mamluks slowly giving ground, retreating in apparent response to Mongol pressure. Kitbuka signals advance, cavalry moving from trot to canter, sensing victory. Baibars signals retreat, and his cavalry turns in apparent confusion, units tangling, men dropping bows as if panicked, others shouting in feigned terror. They flee west into Ain Jalut valley at a canter fast enough to stay ahead, but slow enough to maintain contact. Every 100 yards, Baibars checks distance. Mongols must stay close enough to believe they're catching up, far enough to prevent engagement. Mathematics on horseback while wearing 70 pounds of armor and pretending terror. 3 times officers shout, "They're too close!" And Baibars signals increase pace. Twice, scouts report, "We're losing them!" And he signals slow, rearguard faking stumbling horses. The retreat lasts 40 minutes, covers 6 miles. By the time they reach Ain Jalut proper, the valley floor is dust cloud visible for miles, and inside, 20,000 Mongol cavalry believe they're routing the Mamluks. Kitbuka knows the valley is suspicious terrain, hills on 3 sides, 1 exit west. He signals scouts to check ridge lines but doesn't slow pursuit. This is the error. He's been chasing 40 minutes, Mamluks just ahead, vulnerable. He wants the kill after 2 years of raids. Personal desire overrides caution for 90 seconds. By the time scouts return reporting possible positions, 15,000 Mongol cavalry are inside the valley, with hills on 3 sides. Qutuz signals when Mongols reach the marked boulder, white lime shining through dust. Mamluk horns blow one sustained blast, echoing off valley walls. The retreating vanguard under Baibars' wheels in perfect formation, transformed from panicked mob into disciplined line. Before Kitbuka processes this, 12,000 Mamluk cavalry appear on ridges north and south, positions held motionless for 3 hours. They descend at canter, accelerating to gallop, hitting Mongol flanks from both sides. The impact is surprise on confidence. For 60 seconds, Mongol cavalry, undefeated 5 decades, conquerors from Pacific to Mediterranean, freezes encountering the unexpected. The battle becomes close-range killing, where Mamluk advantages maximize. Mongol cavalry tactics require space to maneuver, distance for composite bows, room for feint and envelop formations. Trapped in a valley 300 yards wide with hills blocking retreat and cavalry pushing from 3 directions, those tactics become impossible. The battle compresses where Mamluk heavy cavalry excels. Close-quarters melee, where lance and sword outmatch bow, where heavier Mamluk horses push through lighter Mongol mounts. Kitbuka tries organizing breakout west, where Baibars retreated, but that route is closed by Mamluk reserves behind western hills. The trap is complete. 20,000 Mongol cavalry surrounded, no exit, hills on all sides, enemy attacking from every direction. But the Mongols do not break easily. Contemporary sources record that Mongol cavalry, recovering from initial shock, reformed defensive positions and counterattacked with such ferocity that the Mamluk left flank began to collapse. Units broke formation, soldiers fled in genuine panic. This is the moment that defines Qutuz as more than strategist. According to Arab chroniclers Ibn Taghribirdi and al-Makrizi, the Sultan personally rode to the collapsing flank. He tore off his helmet, exposing his face so all could recognize him, and threw it to the ground. "Wa Islama!" he shouted. "Oh, my Islam!" invoking not military command but religious identity. Then he charged directly into Mongol lines, alone initially, forcing his personal guard to follow. Contemporary accounts describe him fighting hand-to-hand with Mongol cavalry, his presence shaming fleeing soldiers into returning to combat. This act of desperate courage reversed the battle's momentum. The Mamluk left flank reformed and held. The fighting lasts 7 hours and transforms Ain Jalut Valley into geography of the dead. Bodies pile in heaps where Mongols attempt defensive positions. Horses with arrows in their necks scream and kick, dying on their feet, adding chaos to the collapse of formations. Blood mixes with dust until men fight breathing mud. Mamluk cavalry cycles through. Units engage for 30 minutes of intense combat, then withdraw to rest and water horses while fresh reserves take their positions. Mongols have no reserves, no rest, no rotation. They fight for 7 continuous hours until arms can barely lift swords, until thirst makes vision blur and men hallucinate water that isn't there. Water supplies are 2 miles behind Mongol lines outside the valley, utterly unreachable. Some Mongols try to retreat singly, abandoning formation in desperate attempts to escape, and Mamluk cavalry hunts them through the hills like sport, running down exhausted men on exhausted horses. Kitbuka dies in late afternoon after his horse collapses. He forms a shield wall with 200 guards, final stand lasting an hour. When his guards are dead, he stands alone, bleeding from 7 wounds, shouting challenges in Mongolian. Baibars rides close. "Surrender. Mongols respect courage." Contemporary Persian chronicler Rashid al-Din records Kitbuka's response, though exact wording varies across sources. Mongols do not surrender. You have taught Mongols to retreat today. Hulagu will learn. An arrow takes him through the throat. He falls forward, face in dirt, hands gripping his sword. Mamluks bury him with honors, respecting enemy courage. Qutuz enters the valley at sunset. 10,000 Mongol dead, 4,000 captured. Mamluk losses, 2,000 dead, 5,000 wounded. He kneels among corpses, overwhelmed. Contemporary accounts note he wept, though official chronicles tactfully omit this detail. Baibars stands nearby without speaking. Soldiers sort bodies. Mamluks for burial with prayers. Mongols for mass graves. Captured Mongol officers, understanding their fate as slaves, ask for execution rather than slavery. Qutuz grants these requests with his own sword. News reaches Hulagu Khan in Tabriz 3 weeks later. Hulagu, grandson of Genghis Khan, architect of Baghdad's destruction, orders immediate invasion with 100,000 cavalry. But news arrives from the east. Mongke Khan has died in China during the siege of Diaoyu Castle. Mongol law requires all princes return to Karakoram for the Kurultai election of the new Khan. Hulagu must choose between vengeance or succession politics. He chooses politics, leaves Syria, never returns. The Mongol invasion ends not because Mamluks destroyed the army, 15,000 casualties is replaceable, but because Mongke's death at precisely this moment changes strategic priorities. Ain Jalut was not decisive battle, but extraordinarily well-timed battle. Qutuz survives the battle by 1 month. On October 24, 1260, while returning to Cairo through Sinai, he stops to hunt hares with falcons. Baibars dismounts to help with a falcon. Instead, he draws his dagger and stabs Qutuz through the neck, severing the jugular. Other emirs join, stabbing until Qutuz stops moving. Baibars declares himself Sultan that evening, claiming Qutuz planned to execute him for imaginary treason. War creates men capable of both saving civilizations and murdering their commanders in the same season. Baibars rules 17 years, defending against 5 Mongol invasions. He crushes remaining Crusader states. Antioch falls in 1268. He transforms the Mamluk Sultanate into dominant power from Libya to Syria. He builds messenger stations 1 day's ride apart, news traveling Damascus to Cairo in 4 days instead of 3 weeks, giving him intelligence advantage no enemy can match. When he dies in 1277, the Mamluk state continues 250 years. Cairo becomes the Islamic world's cultural center after Baghdad's destruction. The Abbasid Caliphate is resurrected in Cairo, with puppet caliphs granting religious legitimacy to Mamluk rule. The Mongol Empire fragments into 4 khanates: Golden Horde, Chagatai, Ilkhanate, Yuan. Hulagu never invades Egypt again. The border stabilizes along the Euphrates for 80 years. Ain Jalut becomes symbol, proof Mongols could be defeated, evidence that intelligence overcomes reputation. Military academies study Baibars' feigned retreat for centuries, teaching that deception requires discipline, that appearing weak demands strength, that retreat can be attack if choreographed correctly. Farmers plowing fields 3 generations later unearth bones and arrowheads. They bury what they find without ceremony. Grandmothers tell children simplified stories where brave Mamluks defeated evil Mongols, omitting complications. Baibars murdered his sultan. Soldiers fought for pay rather than conviction. Time erodes complexity until only simple narrative remains. the battle where Muslim cavalry stopped the Mongols. The secret was never truly secret, just extraordinarily difficult to execute. Feigned retreats were standard Mongol tactics. Baibars simply used Mongol techniques against Mongols with superior discipline. The trick was maintaining deception for 40 minutes while chased by cavalry that conquered half the world. The trick was soldiers trusting their commander enough to pretend terror while remaining controlled, fake collapse while maintaining formation. Trust is the secret weapon no army can forge from steel. Victory is making enemies believe what they want, that they're winning, that pursuit is safe, until belief becomes fatal. The valley remains, indifferent to names of those who died and causes they believed justified dying. Wind blows through hills carrying dust that may contain molecules from Mongol bones or Mamluk blood, mixed beyond distinction. Streams flow toward the Jordan River, flowing toward the Dead Sea that accepts all water regardless of source. History records the battle with numbers grown uncertain through centuries, 10,000 dead or 12,000, 7 hours or 9. Numbers become estimates, become myths, become symbols deployed by later generations to justify their own wars, their own certainty that their causes are as righteous as the Mamluks who stopped the Mongols at Ain Jalut in 1260. Before time made righteousness impossible to locate, in wreckage of events whose survivors disagreed about everything, except that many died, and victory's cost was paid in blood no rhetoric can resurrect.